Why Terence Crawford's career will fall in 2023 and Errol Spence Jr. will rise. Alright, y'all. So, why will Terence Crawford's boxing career have a sharp decline in 2023 while his biggest rival, Errol Spence Jr., I believe, will have a full rise in his boxing career? He will have a straight up, his career is going straight up to the moon in 2023. And I have a few reasonings for that. Number one, I do believe that Terence Crawford, although a champion, has the weakest resume in welterweight boxing. His resume up until this point is horrible. You could almost compare it to the resume of Boots or Virgil. Even though Terence Crawford has fought some elite names in his boxing career, he caught them when they were on the decline. So you could say that his competition level has not been anywhere near as high as Errol Spence Jr. throughout his boxing career. And I know most people are going to blame that on Bob Arum, but Terence Crawford is an independent now, and he's had all the chances in the world to make tougher fights for himself now that he controls his own career. But instead, we get more of the same. So how could you use Bob Arum as an excuse for why Terence Crawford doesn't take tough fights? Bob Arum's not involved anymore. So that can't be an excuse anymore. That can't be an easy out for Terence Crawford anymore, saying that his competition level is not his fault. Bob Arum did it. No, that don't fly no more. So that is the number one reason I think that Errol Spence will have a rise in his career and Terence Crawford will have a fall in his career is based off of resume and the type of opponents that Terence Crawford is choosing. Reason number two, there's nothing stopping Terence Crawford from taking another crappy fight after David Avanesyan. We all believe that, hey, this is just a tune-up for Errol Spence Jr. He was off for a few months and he felt like he needed a tune-up before that fight. But this is the same guy who said, I'm the better fighter than Errol Spence. I have more skill sets. I'm the better boxer than Errol Spence Jr. But somehow Errol Spence Jr. is like, but I don't even want a tune-up. I don't care about a tune-up. I don't need a tune-up. Put me in the ring with this guy and I'm going to body slam him through the ropes. But yet, the so-called best fighter in the world, the more technical fighter, the one that everybody believes has the better overall boxing skills, is the one asking for a tune-up fight. Now, that should let you know a lot of things in itself, but to be honest, to ask for a tune-up fight at this point in your career, you're the older fighter as well, it just shows your lack of confidence within yourself. It shows that you have some type of doubt that you need to go in there and try to refine your skills again before you step into the ring with your biggest competition. While the counterpart, Errol Spence Jr., he's like, man, let's just get it. So obviously, there's no doubt in Errol Spence Jr.'s mind. There is doubt in Terence Crawford's mind, and that's the number two reason why I feel like Terence Crawford will be on the decline in 2023, and Errol Spence is shooting up to the moon. Number three, I would have to say that unlike Terence Crawford, Errol Spence has an endless amount of options. Even if Errol Spence doesn't fight Terence Crawford, he still has a great Boots fight that could be put together. He still has a great Virgil Ortiz fight that could be put together. There's the Keith Thurman fight out there. Say what you want about Thurman. I got my feelings. I've said what I said. He could go and negotiate with Manny Pacquiao. He can move up to 154. He has an endless list of options that he could choose from. So I don't see how Terence Crawford could have all this upside in his career, but he has limited options. And I say he has limited options because he's limiting himself. He didn't go after a tougher fight. He went after David Avanesyan, and purposely. That was a strategic move. That wasn't something he did to gain popularity or something he did to reestablish his boxing career or make himself more household name. No, that was a money grab. That was simply a money grab. He couldn't get the terms he wanted out of ERROL Spence and PBC, so he went with an easy touch and a money grab. And once again, that says a lot about where Terence Crawford is in his career. You have all these other options out here, yet you sidestep them for the number 6 contender in the rankings. The number 6 ranked boxer. And he's not even, I don't even think he's number 6 in the WBO. I actually think he's number 6 in the WBA. When you think about it, there's only really one other option out there for Terence Crawford other than ERROL Spence Jr. and after he fights David Avanesyan, and that is his mandatory, who I believe is Virgil Ortiz in the WBO. I think the number 1 challenger for the WBO is Virgil Ortiz. That would be his toughest fight and the best other fight that he could put together besides ERROL Spence Jr. if he decides not to fight ERROL Spence Jr. next year, which I don't think he will. I don't think they'll be fighting in the beginning of next year, in the middle of next year, maybe at the end of next year. But I think it's going to take a full another year before they revisit this fight again. And it's going to be because of Terence Crawford, not ERROL Spence. Terence Crawford seems like he's trying to pressure ERROL Spence to leave the division, or he's trying to catch ERROL Spence in a weight compromised position. Weight drained is what people call it. Because we all know that ERROL Spence has a problem making the 147 weight. Well, it's not a problem. He just doesn't like doing it because he has to put in a lot of work to make that weight. If Terence Crawford can get him to fight someone else, take a little while off, and perhaps balloon up a little bit, and then have to drop, 5-10 pounds to get back to that 147 weight, it benefits Terence Crawford to wait around. Waiting around benefits Terence Crawford, not ERROL Spence Jr. Now, the only benefit ERROL Spence Jr. gets from waiting around is that Terence Crawford gets older. But that doesn't always mean that your skill sets degrade. Sometimes you get better with time because it gives you a chance to refine your skills if you're smart enough to go refine your skills. And the last reason I think that ERROL Spence's stock will rise in 2023 and Terence Crawford will fall is BLK Prime. Okay, BLK Prime gave $10 million to Terence Crawford. Supposedly. It's really not 10. It's like 6, really, after taxes. But he got the biggest payday of his boxing career, or payout of his boxing career. But BLK Prime is a complete unknown. Nobody knows if they're going to have success or they're going to be a failure within the boxing community, within the boxing world. And for Terence Crawford to lay his future on an unknown says a lot about Terence Crawford. Number one, are you even going to pursue BLK Prime after the David Avanesyan fight? Is this going to be somewhere you're going to be hosting your fights? Because remember, he doesn't have a promoter. He doesn't have a channel backing him like Showtime, Fox. Now, I do think ESPN is behind the scenes backing him, but as far as being a front man for Terence Crawford on the television rights part of it, he doesn't have a television right backer at this point. So are you planning on pursuing a career with BLK Prime backing you as your distributor for your fights? Or is next year you're going to be going through this whole process again of trying to find another company just to give you $10 million to fight a nobody to try to start that company off? PBC is not starting off a company. PBC is running a fully functional business with a business model, and a business model that has been shown to work. So there has to be no doubt in your mind that because ERROL Spence Jr. is riding with a company with a business model and a business model that works, that his upside is way higher than the upside for Terence Crawford trying to ride with a company that has no history of selling fights, pay-per-views, securing fights, securing big fights, and being able to distribute a boxer's career visually to the rest of the world and have success doing it. You know, there's so many unknowns that come with BLK Prime and Terence Crawford teaming up. So that is the fourth reason I feel like Errol Spence is going to be going to the top in 2023, and Terence Crawford will be sinking. He's going to get rich off that little BLK Prime contract, but money only lasts so long, and money doesn't make you more famous. It actually makes you more infamous. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. But you're more than likely to get a response on the tube. So holler at me over there. And if you want a collabo, I'm always down. I'm even down to interview or conversate with the subscribers. It doesn't have to be a famous person, or you don't even have to have a boxing channel. If you just want to debate boxing, holla at your boy, and we are
It's your boy Keys, neighborhood employee. Niggas knew that I was coming with fire. Y'all ain't up to my pie and up under a car. Your head under a tie, it's the S and the I. Player, we supposed to win. I'm in the booth focusing with coke in hand. Dude hate it when you see the chief running in. Ass mouth hurting like his wisdom teeth coming in. Now that's a roundhouse kick. Come round your house, letting rounds out quick. From Newburgh to downtown, it's that Midwest to down south shit. Y'all ain't fucking weed. She chillin', saying tryna put the feel on the mouth. What's good? She nothing, saying tryna show his niggas how to ride.